Luck you, world. It's Raz, and that's my power wheelchair. I need a wheelchair because I broke my lucky neck 40 years ago. I hooked up a couple of cameras to that chair, and today we're going to roll through Red Rock Canyon. Gotta roll into my van first, though. Today's Luck You episode is going to be a mashup, part handicap van, but even more of the beautiful landscapes from the 13-mile scenic loop at Red Rock Canyon. Look how narrow that sidewalk is. And it's a 45-mile-an-hour zone. Vegas sidewalks are crazy. I'm seriously considering doing an episode about how cramped and dangerous our sidewalks are here. I usually try to be at freeway speed by the start of the merge lane, so let's womp on Mary Jane. Oh yeah, my van's named Mary Jane. Sounds good for a $5,000 van, doesn't it? That on-ramp is 15 miles, 24 kilometers for you in the lesser developed world, from Red Rock Canyon Visitor Center, and 21 miles from the Vegas sign. Pretty close in the grand scheme of things. Of course, for $5,000, Mary Jane needed a bunch of work. She had a wonky ramp, but my brother got that working pretty good in a day. I did a bunch of neglected repairs and changed all the fluid. I mean everything. That way I knew exactly when the next service was due. All in all, it took a little more than a year and a handful of visits to the mechanic to get Mary Jane to the point where she was in good shape. Over there to the left is Red Rock Casino. It's a pretty cool place. And budget friendly, I'd say. Great poker room too. I quit playing poker a while back. I don't have the personality profile to be successful in that game. Okay, so 6 miles west of here is the Red Rock Visitor Center. Told my friend the other day I was going to Red Rock, and she was talking about all the development around here, all the houses and condos and everything, and she was complaining. I'm like pro-development, though. She's like, oh, but it's by Red Rock and they're blocking the views, and I was like, yeah, but the park ends somewhere. And it's private land, like you can kind of build whatever you want if you can get the permits, and people got to live somewhere. Up until 2022, I got the van in 2022, and I used to drive a regular car. From 2020 to around 2022, for those 2 years, I didn't go out much. I don't know why. There was something going on in the world where for some reason, I just stayed inside most of the time, and then, I got out of shape. I've already been in this chair for 40 years, so. Then once I was able to go out, I couldn't go out. Getting in and out of the car and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna get a handicap van. So I started looking. I didn't have the money to buy one that was already, good to go. I already had the powered chair, but I had to take the bus, which I don't mind. As long as there's no transfers or whatever, if I just pop up to the store on the bus, I still take the bus because it's free and gas is $5-6 a gallon or whatever. I mean, you can order medical transport or whatever, and they'll come pick you up, and it's $3, and they'll take you right where you're going. You leave your house at 11 in the morning, and you get home at 5 for a 30-minute appointment. So that was a bummer. There was plenty of vans out there. They'd have a broken ramp or no engine or whatever, but they had that lowered floor. They actually cut out the whole midsection from behind the firewall, which is, where the gas pedals are, to the back bench seat. The floor is 6-7 inches lower, and, it varies per van. I know you guys are tired of looking through my dirty windshield, so let's pull in the visitor center and rearrange the cameras. I want to get back to the story about how I found this van for so cheap. I had safe searches on everywhere, 7 different places. And then one day, I came into my office and turned on my computer, and then, bing, a Facebook Marketplace alert popped up. It was a 2-minute-old listing, and there was Mary Jane for $5,000. I think I was the very first person to message about the van. After a few back and forth questions, I finally messaged, "Can I call you?" So I call, and I was like, hey, I want the van. I'm going to come over there. I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. So I got over there. Like, you want to test drive it? I'm like, no. I just want to give you the money and take the van. I've lived in Vegas for 12 years now, and this is the 3rd time at the Red Rock National Conservation Area. That's what they call it. But we just say, hey, let's go to Red Rock. The highest peak over here is La Madre Mountain. It's 8,145 feet, almost 2,500 meters. So a couple weeks from now, they're going to have a Formula One race in Vegas. They're tearing up the streets and blocking off streets and building this and building that. And so people are really like complaining a lot about like all us locals. But man, I can't wait. I think the Formula One in Vegas is going to be like an unimaginable spectacle. Cars zooming up the strip at 200 miles an hour and passing by the Bellagio fountains, which are going to have grandstands in front of them. You're going to go by the Sphere. I think it's just called Sphere. They've been the word police have been getting mad at people for calling it the Sphere. But it just sounds weird when you say Sphere. Is that like Sting or Slash? Bono? Sphere. Oh, that's why they had U2 open that place up, right? So people get used to like not having... But I think the Bono would be cool, though. If I was Bono, I'd be the Bono. Hey, he's the Bono. I'm the Raz. Okay, never mind. There's a bunch of cool Red Rock formations, and it's the Red Rocks are actually sandstone, right? And it's rust. So if somehow like the water would get on there, or I go, yeah, it's just rust. 2023 was a wet year in Vegas. We had a lot more rain than usual. It was really green around here. I liked it. Like, I don't remember the ground at Red Rock being so green. Like, there's these little, like, turquoise colored things. Yeah, you don't actually have to go into this scenic loop. It's just pretty bitchin', that's all. There's plenty of stuff to do all around. There's campgrounds. There's major roads all the way around the park. And there's hiking trails and everything. This is just the loop. From October through May, you got to make a reservation because they don't want the park all packed with everybody showing. You know how everybody would just show up at one time? So it's $22 per car. I bought a ticket online the night before. It was a bit confusing, though. I thought, like, man, that's weird. They only give you an hour to be inside the park, but you actually have an hour window to get in. Once you get in, you can stay as long as you want. Well, up until the park closes. But yeah, it's not too crowded for here. This is probably like the least crowded I see it. The weather was perfect. I think it was 90 that day. I like it hot. There's cool trails throughout here. If you look at the map, I'll put some links in the description for there's a cool little PDF with a picture map of the park, and it shows you all the trails and where you can hike and like camping nearby. Some of the trails are pretty tough, though. Like, there's one trail that they say, like, it's handicap accessible, but I couldn't find it. I was already past it when I looked at the map again. Like, I pulled it aside to look at the map, and it's the petroglyph trail or whatever. Yeah, there's some petroglyphs over there. I think they're like 800 years old. Some Native American graffiti or whatever. I was thinking, this park would be a cool place to shoot a cowboy movie. Our trip on shrooms. That's probably how the petroglyphs got there, though. I can never get enough college football. I'm pretty useless on Saturdays during the fall. I root for like several different college teams, actually. I like a Iowa Hawkeye fan. But my two favorite teams are the UCLA Bruins and whoever's playing USC. Yeah, I grew up in LA, and I had a choice of two teams. The perennial champions team in school, the USC Trojans. And I chose UCLA. I don't know. It's not just because they have like the best looking cheerleaders. This is how I think it happened. So I was at a Grateful Dead concert in 1979 at the Poly Pavilion, and they put me to sleep. because I was way up high and all the secondhand smoke was up there. So I kind of like dozed off, leaned back, and the girl I was with, she nudged me. She's like, "Wake up, Raz." I looked up and I saw all these banners hanging from the rafters, and it was like, because the UCLA Bruins, they were basketball, like they kicked ass, like especially in 1979, they were the best ever in 1979. Yeah, so I just I'm a ride or die UCLA Bruin fan, and we'll get them next year. So I want to clarify something. In an earlier video, somebody gave me a little grief because I was talking about like female sideline reporters. It's just they just annoy me. But I mean, some people like them. Obviously, they got jobs and it's a thing. But I don't have a problem with the female refs. I'm not like totally sexist. It's fun to watch them run around. Like, some of them have some pretty good backsides. Before I forget, check out my book. It's called The Days of Guns N' Roses. If you want to read about Guns N' Roses forming in my living room, or how I broke my luck and neck, there's a link in the description where you can read it for free. Why free? Because I'm a terrible businessman. The High Point Overlook sits at 4,771 feet. That's about 1,500 meters. Before I had this van, I would just stay in my car, drive up here and look around and everything and enjoy the beauty, because like pushing myself around up here, it might look flat, but, well, it is flat. But when you get to the edge, there's like cobblestones and stuff. It's great because I feel way more independent. I can just go out and about. I got my power chair, and I'm more independent than I was in like the last 20 or 25 years. I'm really enjoying it. The reason why I'm talking about like all the price breakdowns and everything like that, and how I found it and everything is I remember when I first broke my neck, my dad, he bought like this 1976 Dodge van, just a cargo van, and then he cut the top off with a grinder. And then he went to the junkyard and he bought a bubble top, like a fiberglass top or whatever. Then he built these little ramps, and he put like, so they hooked onto like the door, the side door where you go in, and this really intense angle. Like I felt like I was going up, you know, when you go up on the roller coaster, clink, 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 clink. So it was like that going into the van. And it was scary. Like it was a combination of being handy, being cheap, and having a big heart about, you know, trying to help me out. I mean, I was 16 at the time, so I'm sure I told him how I thought. Let's watch the ramp go in and out. She also has a feature that's called kneeling, and so the van gets lowered to decrease the ramp angle to make it easier to get in and you roll up it and roll down it. It's not so hairy. She's a 2004 Dodge Grand Caravan SE model with a VMI, which is Vantage Mobility Incorporated, North Star conversion. So the North Star is the in-floor ramp, and it's on a track. It's not hydraulic, it's a screw drive actually. Like I said, I got like $7 or $8 grand into it. That includes routine maintenance. Every 6 months I take it to this place called Advanced Mobility. They like go through the whole handicap thing, you know, the ramp and everything, oil it up, do the routine maintenance. And it's not that expensive. It's like around $200 or whatever. And it's the thing works, the ramp and everything in the door and all that stuff works good. So my van has removable seats, and I just take the passenger seat out and then I transfer into the driver's seat. And it's kind of on a pedestal, rolls in and rolls out. So they're on little wheels, and you just roll them out the ramp or whatever. And then you can put the seat you're not using in the garage and pile stuff up on top of it. I was watching YouTube. This guy, he made a handicap van for his niece who was about 20 years old, and his daughter, they were going to go travel the country. Yeah, the guy built the van, and he had skills, but he bought a van. I think he put his limit at $25,000. The guy was pretty handy. He lowered it and did some stuff, but it was accessible, and he put like a seat and these tie downs, and I mean, it was really sweet of him to do it for his niece. For $25 grand, man, he could have I saw this one Ford van when I was looking, and it had no engine in it and no lift, but it was like a lowered floor. It was a big full-size Ford van. It was $3,000 or $4,000 or maybe $6,000, whatever. But for another $19,000, man, he could have had it tricked out. But this is the cautionary tale. Like all you guys thinking of, like, I've seen other videos after that. After I watched the one guy's video, I've seen other videos, and people do that, and they're like, I made a handicap van for, and it's just terrible. People don't want to tell you because you like being nice. Whatever works for you. But just keep in mind that if you're willing to do the work, you can get a van for a reasonable price. It's kind of funny. I was going right here, and I had the camera set up, and I was watching the cameras, and there's no railing right here. I started where there was no railing to get a good shot, and I went towards the area. Yeah, I'm going this way, right? So I moved about, 20 feet, and I had this thought. I was like, I haven't looked how close I am to the edge. So I just stopped. The first thing I did was just stop when I had that thought. And I looked down, and I was 6 inches from driving off the side into that little ravine right there. I don't think it would have been fatal, but for sure painfully interesting. And a way better story. Hey everybody, thanks for rolling along.